Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of Hearts and Hands by O. Henry. Come, let's go to the summary. O. Henry was an American writer and his actual name is William Sidney Porter. And his short stories are well known for their twisted endings. In 1896, he was sent to prison for 5 years, and it was in prison that he started writing his short stories. And since he did not want his readers to know that he was in jail, he used the pseudonym Oliver Henry, and thus we know him as O. Henry. And even after getting released from the prison, he continued as a writer, and he died in 5th June 1910 in New York. And the main characters of this story is Miss Fairchild, Mr. Easton and Marshall, and we have two passengers whose name is not mentioned in the story. The story is set on a train to Denver, and the highlight of this train journey is two former friends get united here. And the one friend is a young and beautiful Miss Fairchild. And Miss Fairchild is surprised to see Mr. Easton, who is an old friend, on a train. And Mr. Easton happens to come and sit in just front of her itself. And on recognizing him, she introduces herself, and Mr. Easton also recognizes her. And she offers her hands for a handshake. Instead of offering his right hand for the handshake, Mr. Easton offers his left hand for the shake. The main reason is his right hand is handcuffed with a person who is sitting next to him, and the other person is a burly man, and he is looking a bit roughly dressed also. On seeing the handcuffs, Miss Fairchild is bewildered and she is lost for words, and she stops talking. Seeing this, the strange man breaks the silence and he says that he is a person who is caught for counterfeit fraud, and now he is sentenced to a 7 years prison. And Mr. Easton, who is a marshal, is escorting him to the prison in Leavenworth. And this information makes Miss Fairchild feel better, and she feels bad about assuming the worst about her old friend Mr. Easton, and they again start talking, and they make up for the time which is passed. And Mr. Easton tells her that he adapted this life of a law officer, which is full of struggle and responsibilities. And earlier he was living a very luxurious life in Washington, but now he is living in the West. Hearing this, Miss Fairchild says that she loves to live in West as well. From her conversation, we understand that Miss Fairchild is trying to create a relationship and her interest in Mr. Easton. And all through the conversation, she continues to keep on staring at the handcuff on Mr. Easton's right hand. And observing her discomfort, the prisoner again offers an explanation, saying that usually the marshals will handcuff themselves with the prisoner so that the prisoner will not escape. Then he turns to Mr. Easton and tells him that he has not smoked for a long time and now he feels like smoking, so he asks him to take him for a smoke. Then Mr. Easton gets up and wishes Miss Fairchild farewell and leaves with the prisoner. And now the story introduces two passengers who are sitting near them and who has overheard the entire conversation. And one of the passengers praises Mr. Easton because he looks very young, and being a marshal at this very young age is something great. But the other passenger says that he noticed something very odd about the prisoner. Generally, the prisoner's right hand only will be handcuffed, and the law officers will handcuff themselves on the left hand. But here, Mr. Easton's right hand was handcuffed. So, in the end of the story, we realize that it is Mr. Easton who is the prisoner and his companion is the real marshal. So, the theme of the story is telling us that sometimes looks can be deceiving. And the irony at the end of the story also makes the story very interesting. And the main theme is the compassion that the marshal shows towards his convict, and at the same time how the convict's appearance has been very deceptive, because he looks very decent and of course very neat also, and he should be a very handsome and attractive man. And though Mr. Easton is a criminal, the officer rescues him from the embarrassment twice in the story. First, he tells a lie that he is a convict and Mr. Easton is the marshal, and second time he lies by saying that he wants to smoke so that Mr. Easton can escape the embarrassing situation, because Miss Fairchild was trying to create a relationship, but at the same time she was staring at the handcuff, which was very embarrassing for Mr. Easton. And the title of the story, Hearts in the Hands, also can be explained in two different perspectives. One is the marshal could understand the heartbeats of the convict, and he came forward and he saved the prisoner from an embarrassing situation by lying to the women. So, though his hands were doing his duty of punishing a convict, his heart was feeling pity for Mr. Easton. Again, we can take the example of Miss Fairchild, who was very passionate about Easton, and she was probably trying to make a relationship with him by saying that she loves the West and wants to live there. So, her heart wished for a closer relationship with Mr. Easton, but the handcuffs in Mr. Easton's hand made it impossible. So, we can say that the title is witty and also very apt. So, this is the summary of the story, Hearts in the Hands. If you have anything more to add on to this, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe. And while subscribing, don't forget to press the bell button. Only then you will get the notification of all my videos when I post them. Thank you.